what I'm finding out is that many of my friends and many of the people that I work with or contact have no idea of what meditation actually is. Although many of them think they do, they think they do. Of course, there are hundreds of opinions on what meditation is in this country, but most don't jibe with the authentic types of meditation that have been taught for thousands of years in Asia, in Tibet, China, and so forth. So in a word, basic meditation is all about mindfulness, and it's really quite simple. So I ask you this, do you know what meditation is, and do you understand how it works? If not, it's really simple, but without an understanding, it's never going to work well. There's also a fairly precise posture to sit in that really helps, but it won't help if we're too busy to learn it or if we're self-conscious about doing it. So I'm going to put aside the posture for the moment and just focus on the essential technique, the learning of the habit of mindfulness. As far as posture, just try to sit relaxed. Try to be relaxed in how you sit. Mindfulness. Mindfulness is just that, being mindful and not being distracted. And mindfulness is useful in everything we do, not just sitting in meditation on a cushion or something like that. The Zen Buddhists really teach mindfulness well because they teach us to be mindful all of the time, not just when we're learning meditation, but in everything we do. One of the main reasons we learn to meditate is not just to sit quietly for a time each day, but to also gradually bring the habit of meditation, the meditative habit, and that technique to bear on all the aspects of our day-to-day life. I mean, if we're going to have to be or have to do this or that in our day, why not be present? You know, meditation is not just for, what do we call it, the spiritually inclined, whatever that is. If you mean by spiritual burning incense or lighting candles or looking at lava lamps, then meditation does not depend on any of that. The basic form of meditation called shamatha meditation and its sister vipassana meditation is designed ultimately for one thing only, to allow us to rest in the true nature of the ordinary mind. And it's a deep rest. Now, awareness of the ordinary mind, it's ordinary, but apparently it's not all that common to be aware of it, because most of us manage to obscure our minds with all of our, day-to-day busy thoughts, attachments, rejections, loves, hates. We ignore that ordinary mind. And, that's what ignorance is all about, ignoring. If learning to rest in our ordinary mind is somehow spiritual, then we can say that meditation is spiritual or sacred. And what do any of us hold sacred? Some of us divide the world into the sacred and the non-sacred, the profane, while others consider everything sacred. So to me, sacred is as sacred does. The goal of the basic technique of shamatha meditation is so simple. It's to build a habit of allowing our mind to rest on an object, like whatever we're doing at the moment, and not to be distracted from that rest. If we attempt to rest our minds, if we attempt to meditate, and we wake up to find ourselves distracted, like daydreaming, thinking of lunch, then our mind is no longer resting on the object. What we do then is to very gently we're aware that we're no longer looking at the object or resting the mind. So we just gently bring the mind back to the focus and let it rest again. We focus again on whatever it is we're using, whether it's a pebble, a statue, a flame, there's many, or the breath. Many things can be used as the object of meditation. It doesn't matter. And we do this every time that we're distracted. We do this originally on the cushion because that's where we practice, but really, you soon learn to do it all day long. Learn to catch yourself when you're distracted, when you're just really doing nothing but daydreaming or whatever, and gently, and again, bring the mind back. And it gets distracted, we just bring it back. That's building the habit of meditation. Now, over time, as I mentioned, we develop a habit of staying on focus. And eventually the habit becomes, if you pardon me, habitual. We no longer have to try to do it. It no longer takes huge effort on our part. That's what makes learning meditation so difficult. Our muscle memory, our habitual muscle memory takes over, and we can just do it. We remain aware of the object of meditation for as long as we wish, or if we're in our life, day-to-day jobs, for as long as we need for the task at hand. That's a real plus to be able to do that. We can rest in what we're doing. That's the bare technique. In time, the habit we've acquired, the habit of resting our mind on any object or on the object, gradually becomes portable. We may begin learning meditation sitting on a cushion or in some quiet place. But just as we learn to stay on focus while sitting on a cushion, we gradually find that in other areas of our life, we begin to be able to do the same thing, to stay focused on whatever we're doing. This is the great value of learning meditation, not to have some quiet time each day, but to use it throughout our day. And it expands. It's like circles of water into which a pebble's dropped, ever expanding, including more and more of our life. And when we get distracted in our life, just like we do on the cushion, we just, again, gently bring the mind back to whatever we're doing, again and again and again. This, then, is the basic meditation. And even by itself, it's of great value to life. As I mentioned, originally most of us learned the technique on the cushion, so to speak. But later, we use the technique off the cushion more and more of the time. I do. The more I meditate in life situations, in real life situations, not just on the cushion, the better I get at it. The more I enjoy it. And I find myself seeking out other situations in which to rest my attention. Because the rest is clear, luminous, and a pleasure to experience. I mean, it's like where I want to be if I can possibly manage it. This is basic meditation. By itself, it's totally useful. It's practical to the extreme. Once we have basic meditation down as a base, once we have kind of stabilized the mind, we can begin to learn another form of meditation called Vipassana meditation. English translation is insight meditation. With insight meditation, we're no longer concerned with allowing the mind to rest. We already have that. Insight meditation is much more active. It's a much more active looking into and at the nature of the mind itself. Not looking out, but looking in. And I'll give you a couple of possibly useful analogies for these two kinds of meditation, the basic shamatha beginning meditation and the Vipassana or insight meditation. One analogy, it's like threading a needle with shaky hands. Basic resting shamatha meditation removes the shakiness from the hand so that we can thread the needle. Vipassana meditation is the actually actually threading the needle. Now, these are just analogies. Another one, imagine we have some goldfish in a bowl of muddy water. Now, we've never been able to see the fish. Shamatha meditation, beginning meditation, settles the mud in the water so it clears, which then allows us to see the brilliant and vivid goldfish. That's Vipassana. And the goldfish represent seeing the true nature of the mind. Anyway, these two types of meditation are like a tag team. They work together. Usually, for most of us, learning shamatha first and Vipassana second. That's how I learned it. But some schools teach both at once. But I never learned it that way, so I can't really comment on it. But I can say this. These two methods, shamatha and Vipassana, are interdependent. They reinforce one another. As in, the more I get into Vipassana meditation, the better my beginning shamatha meditation becomes, and vice versa.